right, let's bring you the very latest on the story now. We're joined by Turkey's ambassador to South Africa, Elif Çomoglu Yılgan, or Ilgan rather. She joins us from our Pretoria studios. Elif, thanks very much for your time here on ENCA. Just take us through the reason for the Turkish president rejecting this call for an immediate ceasefire.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting the Turkish ambassador. Indeed, yes, Turkish military has started a military operation on the 9th of October in the northeastern borders that we share with Syria. The aim of the operation is to clear our borders from the terrorist elements of whom we had been suffered enough. Both financially but mostly humanitarianly. The terrorist attacks stemming from the power vacuum in the northern part of Syria since the inception of the crisis in Syria had most hardly attacked the Turkish people, the Turkish economy. So the first objective of the operation is to clear the borders from the security threat. The operation is being run legitimately under and with the legitimate powers that we derive from the United Charter's Article 51, which gives every country the right to clear its borders from terrorism and other threats. The second aim is to open up a safe haven, a safe zone that hopefully in the medium run will then be used by some of those Syrian migrants who have been in Turkey, now amounting more than 3.5 million, as you've put. Amongst them, those who would like to return voluntarily would be then welcome to their own homelands. And indeed, let me also specify that this military operation in no way is against the Kurds. Neither against the Kurds of the region of Syria nor in Turkey. Turkey has no problems with the Kurds. Turkey has never fought against Kurds. Turkey currently hosts more than, the Turkish population consists of more than 10 million Turkish people of Kurdish origin. And amongst these 3.6 million Syrian migrants we have, 300,000 of them are of Kurdish origin. So obviously the fight is against terrorism, namely against Daesh and against the YPG, or you might call it SDF, whichever name they take. It is the rebranding of the terrorist group PKK, which is recognized.
You're talking about the fight being against terrorism, and yet dozens of civilians have already been killed.
But this is unfortunately since the inception of the events in Syria, and it goes on for a quite long time. And indeed, Turkey has been one of the countries insistently calling for a political solution. And indeed, that's why we are also part of most of the negotiation processes going on. Yes, there are a lot of casualties, and indeed, that's why Turkey initially has opened up its borders for the Syrian brothers and sisters, because alternatively they would have been also perished out of this fight. It is unfortunately has become an area of foreign interventions, all powers that has nothing to do with the people of Syria nor the Turks. We are the ones who suffer. We know the people. We know each other. Therefore, ultimately, we decided to take the power in our hands. And indeed, just as we did previously in 2017 and 2018, this military operation is a limited military operation. It foresees the clearance of the borderline from terrorist elements, and it gives the priority to minimize civilian casualties, to utmost attention for avoiding collateral damage. And indeed, the previous military operations overtaken by the Turkish military proves that we are living to that fact. It's very unfortunate that if you negotiate with one terrorist organization to fight another one, they end up with terrorist ends and terrorist means, and that's what we are now suffering. We are seeing in the region very much so.
Elif, before I let you go, President Erdogan saying that there will never be a ceasefire, despite these sanctions being announced. You're saying this is a limited operation. What does the future hold here in the coming days, the coming weeks?
The operation is limited in the sense that as long as it takes, we clear our borders from those terrorist elements. Indeed, yes, there is an announcement of the upcoming sanctions. It's very unfortunate. Turkey currently is the only nation, is the only NATO ally who has got troops, who has got boots on the ground fighting against Daesh. And indeed, all these greater powers, our allies, our European partners, who had been claiming that they have a fierce position fighting terrorism, especially fighting Daesh terrorism, are proven to be, I'm very sorry to say, but not sincere. Indeed, if that had been the case, the Turkish military, for what it's been doing there, should have been appreciated rather than being criticized. It's very unfortunate, it's very sad, but enough is enough. For the Turkish people, this operation represents the overall public opinion in Turkey. Yes, it's very sorry, it's very sad that there will be people dying. It is a military operation, but we have to clear this border from these terrorist elements before things become even worse. Meanwhile, we are also, as I said, part of the political negotiation processes. The dialogue amongst leaders are continuing in a very swift pace, as you might have also followed. Yesterday, there was a telephone conversation between the presidents of Turkey and the United States, and also between the Turkish president and its Russian counterpart. So we will now wait and see, and of course, all of us, particularly the Turkish people, we do pray for a precise, short military operation which ends up with the clearing of the border and hopefully the establishment of a safe zone, which will then be conducive for the repatriation of some of those Syrian migrants going back their homes.
Right, the latest there on the Turkey-Syria offensive. That was Ambassador of Turkey, Elif Çomuglu İlgen, joining us there from our studios in Pretoria.